With love over fear, the era of the creative is rising. This is Life is People, the Resurrection, and we're back after many eons. And I'm back with the very first guest, back to the time when it all started. So, without any further ado, how you two doing at the moment, lads?
Amazing, just welcome back, Life is People. Like it's meant to connect again and get on this platform where we can just talk and connect with creative souls, and it's just it's been away for a while, hasn't it? So it's meant to have some of these conversations again. I'm feeling really good. So on my man's side.
Yeah, great. We've been working on a new record. We've got a lot of things going down. I've been creating, and yeah, it's a pleasure to be back.
Well, let's be real. So we're starting here tonight. We're well, by the time this goes out, we've already had the Darlington to the Last Train Home Festival, and this will be also going out. By the time this goes out, will be after the launch gig. So I think it's a really good place to start. Let's talk about Snakes and Ladders. Now, one of the questions I was asked to ask you about was, what was the inspiration actually calling it Snakes and Ladders?
I think Snakes and Ladders, it comes from the first song that we kind of put together for the record. I guess we had it in mind. There's a song called Just on the North, which we had the beat from Beat Demons, sent it over. Dan was over in Munich at the time, so we were living apart for the first time in our lives, I suppose, like for like distance-wise. So yeah, he sent that across. Dan had started writing some lyrics. He sent across the beat with the demo, and I just filled it in, and the lyrics were, it's all just snakes and ladders, and that sort of theme and symbolism of what snakes and ladders are kept cropping up in songs that we wrote afterwards. So we were kind of writing with these themes kind of in mind, buried in the songs,
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, like Si says, Dust to the North was the kind of the catalyst for what the album that will become Snakes and Ladders. And yeah, the themes in it are present throughout the album, I would say. Like you're touching on, there's definitely a lot of esoteric meanings in there, and symbolism, something that we've dug into a lot.
The symbol of the snake being the Ouroboros,
the serpent eating its tail, which is it's been used throughout many cultures throughout humanity, and yeah, it represents death and rebirth and a continuation of cycles. And this is something that we've tried to explore within this album to a great extent. Really.
The ladders sort of like the notion of structures and I guess sort of hierarchy, or trying to get higher up in whatever domain you find yourself in. And it's a push and pull of both. It's a push and pull of both these sort of symbols, and as well as it, referencing the ancient board game itself, Snakes and Ladders. And if you look deeper into that, what meanings can you take from it? So yeah, all these sort of themes, it's a heavily symbolic body of work.
Well, just from an outside perspective, as well as being an inside perspective, from behind the closed doors, you've definitely progressed a lot. I think that's sort of tangible. I think musically, definitely. And I remember the first time I heard this, I did immediately say this is an Arkansas album, because you've actually got this theme running through it, which actually ironically ties to Dual Sides and Neil, and you can almost see, from the death and suicide right through to, what inspired Dual Sides, right through to Neil, right through to this, and you've definitely sort of the creative process has grown. Now, this sort of really kind of strangely ties into the times we've been going through, obviously lockdown, and you sort of alluded to a moment ago that you obviously wrote wrote a lot of lyrics and songs pre-lockdown, I imagine.
Absolutely.
So, as the delay of putting the album out, in your sense, do you think you would have rewritten it any differently if you'd done it now after the lockdown, or do you think it was,
But yeah. So yeah, the album's been in the works for since 2017 probably, right?
Several years, yeah.
It's been in the works for several years. So to get to a point that we're putting it out to the world, it's a very humbling time frame. Obviously the world's gone through so many changes and whatnot, and it's strange that you might create something, but then by the time you put it out, is it relevant? Well, for this album, it does feels relevant for the times. And if we were to rewrite or write an album now, that it would be different again. I would have thought it would be majorly different, but the songs that we've crafted in the time frame and the way that the world has changed, it's interesting to see the correlations. And it's something that as artists we're kind of as we progressed, as you say, the first couple of albums, 2013, 2017, and now
It's all growth.
2021. Each step has been a growth. So we started. Our music predominantly started from the alternate hip hop angle. When we got to Nil, that was dual sides. When we got to Nil, we started concentrating a bit more on live instrumentation in the gigs. So we started trying to create that album live with the band. So, but that album itself, it dabbled in some acoustic sounds with the Rose predominantly, even a bit more spoken word with March Forward, certain songs. So to get to the follow up to Nil, and we were working on the Nil songs live with the band, and we've been touring and working on that live show so much over the birth of Nil that it feels like a natural growth to get to a point that we've done an album where we've utilised a bit more live instrumentation, taking a bit of a step back from sample-based beats, but George has still been beat demon and still been creating such beautifully complex and rich instrumentals which feature on the album, as well as our guitarist Chris Shadow Shaw, who's got two beats produced on the album, and it's a mix of it all. It feels fitting, man. I mean, it's an eclectic body of work, but we're into a lot of different music, man. So it feels like
we're in a collective band.
Yeah, exactly, man.
Yeah, and going back to the lockdown thing, I think it's worth pointing out that Lee Perry's contributions were during lockdown.
That's right,
Like, and we're absolutely devastated about this passing, and we're absolutely, honoured to have connected and to got him on the record. Yeah, the upset man. So yeah.
Well, on the Lee Perry one, I was I wanted to mention that too. Anyway, I mean, I think it's again, it's up to you if you want to sort of share that story. But when you told me about how you connected to him, which kind of runs in with the theme of was an old thing we've been talking about. It's been talking about this afternoon about the blockchain decentralization. So that's got a bit of a kind of overlap. So maybe you can share that story more.
It's that notion of structures, isn't it? Like that's a theme throughout the record, and how like crypto is kind of like Lee Perry's a rebel, and it kind of goes against the mainstream structure.
Yeah, he's been like a rebel, anti-banks. He spells his name with like pound sign and
Yeah,
dollar
trying
sign.
to claim that back.
He's using this power against him.
Symbolism.
It's quite alchemy.
Yeah,
But,
he's an alchemist.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
Connecting them. So yeah, I mean that is thanks to the lockdowns and these sort of changes. So he was he found himself unable to tour. Unfortunately, he had to change how he was working and stuff. So he found himself a lot of free time to do collaborations. And yeah, I'm just big fans of him. And I just saw a tweet that he put out on Twitter, and he was saying, "Oh, if anyone wants to collaborate with some tunes, email this address." So I dropped him an email. It's a bit insane, you know. Like I thought, oh, there's nothing's gonna come out of this. I mean, but I thought I'd drop him an email and we'll see. And then he picked it up, and a couple of weeks later he got back to us, and he wanted. He was like, "Yeah, send us over some music. Let us know what he wants to do." So I sent him over Feeling Fighting Dystopia, which is like punk, folk punk kind of anthem on Snakes and Ladders. And I just something about that the tune. It just seemed a bit raw and a bit just full of a lot of energy, and I just thought. I just thought let's show Lee Perry this and see what magic he can conjure up. And that's when I emailed him, that was the subject was magic inquiry. It was like, what magic can you do on this, man? And like, so he got back and he said, yeah, I'll do something. I'm going to the studio this time, and then to sort out the space for studios and things. I just asked him because I know what his stance is on the monetary system and the world. That like I just said, you know, do you want to work in pounds, Mr. Perry, or what about crypto? And he come back saying pounds, yeah, we'll do it PayPal, whatever, or crypto. Here's an address. I'll just speak to my son. He's going to set it up for us. I am interested in collecting bitcoins and cryptocurrency. So so I sent him. So we started it out, and I sent him a bit of Bitcoin. I was thinking at the time, you know, he was 84. I'm like, this 84-year-old legend is getting into the blockchain and the way the world is going, hopefully in a good, positive, right direction with the use of technologies for the people. If we use technology for the people, then we can help create a better world. And yeah, I'm thinking if he's 84 at the time and he's accepting this, and you know, then everyone needs to research it a bit. Or I don't really advocate for anything specifically, but just look at the world around you and understand how the monetary system works, because it is really shady, to say the least. And those that create the currency, those that benefit from it, largely it's a state of the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer. So technology can help to balance that and give power back to the people. And I do think it's worth people educating themselves, because you don't get education from anywhere else other than yourself, you know.
But I do find it fascinating having an interest in it over many years. And I do find it fascinating that people who are living freedom, which is, I kind of, again, we go back to Snakes and Ladders, there's a lot of themes about freedom and what that actually means. But the people who are literally not only do freedom as in the sense of freedom from a state or a government or that, but actually you start to free your mind. And I know that's an old cliche, but you start to see and appreciate nature and the things around you, that you do you almost like coalesce on a certain point. You know, I'm not overly surprised that Lee's petrolated into this stuff, as much as I'm not surprised hearing some random artist is, or some random, you know, because if you take a step back and you're in that mindset, you start to see and you coalesce around a certain point. And I think one of the fascinating things that it's been a theme around the band for a long time, is kind of, with Lee Perry and stuff like that. But you've had this thing where you have been very open to collaboration and having people who are on the same mindset and things that have grown from it. I mean, I'm speaking from my perspective. It's amazing. It's an amazing, beautiful thing that happens. That happens when three people, in the real essence of it, get to do this, because it's almost like the phrase now, being an amateur or anything is seen as an insult, which is not a thing. The amateur is, as you were saying many times, it's for the love.
Yeah.
And when you have for the love, not only do you get to create beautiful things, but you do meet people, because that's what I'm saying, with the technology, the dystopia that it brings, as much as the good thing, it's connected to Lee Perry, and it's connected you to many people over time, and allow you to collaborate, and makes a beautiful thing. So, on this, I don't want to pass over this really. The Lee Perry one, was he given free rein completely over what he wrote and stuff like that? And what was you when you came back? What did he had he heard other tracks? You mentioned so, because it's amazing when you listen to it. When people, obviously by the time this goes out, they will listen to it. That what he sings about and speaks about is so on clue with what we're just talking about. How almost like minds coalesce on the same thing. So he had no idea, but he wrote the whole thing himself.
More or less so. I mean, so Dan sang them through them fighting dystopia, and then so if you've heard that, so like Dan says before, it's like a folk punk call to arms. So it's not really it's organic. It's not to a beat as such. So what Lee Scratch Perry did was he cut a bit of the guitar, the piece of guitar, and just made a beat around it, and just basically freestyled. I think taking influence from the lyrics, but also going into his own creative realm, and laid down some words of wisdom, some madness, some magic, and we got that track back, and we put some of it into Freedom Fighting Dystopia, but we also turned it into what is the closing track on the album, called Reprise of Light. So we kind of put that over this sort of cinematic, ambient instrumental, and just sort of placed it. And he's touching a lot of the themes that were on the record, or that are on the record. So it was
an absolute honour and just privilege to have worked with him, and to have him on his words, the weight of his words as well. And
he's saying these things, and he's in his mid to late 80s, like mid 80s.
He's got life experience, a lot.
He's seen so much. He's a revolutionary artist. We're absolutely honoured that he's
pinching ourselves still too.
That he's even spent a moment working on this music with us. He's worked with some incredible and legendary artists in his whole journey through this earthly realm. So even just to have that little moment of his attention and his magic is absolutely incredible to us. We're totally honoured and blessed.
Completely correct. And just harking back to the question, we did in the emails we said we'll have. He's like, do you want a remix, or do you want us to do some words? Julie just said, I just want to give you complete creative control to do what you will, and I think it's important to give creatives just that freedom to express and put their stamp on things. And, I mean, it's nice sometimes to have a bit of a structure of what to go for, but sometimes you just...
Someone like Lee Perry.
Someone like Lee Perry.
You just have to let him do.
You need to just, I can't touch those realms, man. Like, you just do what you do, man.
But it fits so well, like I was saying, which is quite an amazing thing that he hasn't heard any of it. It fits so perfectly with the, and I will repeat, the opus that you have created for Snakes and Ladders. I've said it many times, and I've better say it many more times. It is truly an opus. And I think it sort of ties in really what we're passing in Lee Perry. I think sometimes us creators, I find it hard at times to almost pat ourselves on the back. You know, it's one of the things. If you're truly great, you always want to move on to the next thing. And I think at times it's a bit of a wisdom. If someone like me, Parry, or just anyone, old souls like you say, can teach us is to take a step back and and pat ourselves on the back. And I think you two should be really, really proud of what you've created because it is a true opus. You know, it's a beautiful piece of work, and I'm excited to see when people actually get to hear this thing, and especially because, again, it's been a thing all the way through since you started, the band up as well. And I love you for flying it. I mean, not only are you selling this on, people available on vinyl, you're still flying the cassettes, and still rocking the cassettes. But hearing it on vinyl and hearing it on a solid format really sort of adds to the ambience of what you're talking about. So, which again is another sort of progression and another thing you're really proud of. We were speaking earlier on about it. Is your connection with Fate 4, which I think is another huge leap forward in the band's progression since sort of like Jill Sides and Neil. I mean, how did that come around?
We've been big fans of sort of underground American hip hop for a long time. It's influenced us immensely, and one of those labels that are flying the flag for that still is Fake 4, and especially Chesky. I mean, they've had lots of amazing artists that we've loved over the years and put out some incredible albums.
Yeah.
But Chesky's special. He's a proper DIY. I don't know. He's got his label. He's got his music's incredible. He's in sort of punk communities as well as he's in the hip hop.
He's a real man,
and he
keeps it real.
He keeps it real, and he loves music, man. Like he loves music.
He's a big music fan, man. He's big inspiration.
Yeah, absolutely, massive inspiration on our last couple of records, Chesky.
And we put on a show for his last album. Well, when he put out
Sad Fat Look,
the album Sad Fat Look in 2019.
Yeah,
and it was an absolutely phenomenal album, and we were blown away by how mint it was. And he was touring all over the States, but he had some European dates in the pipeline as well. So we just thought, but why is he not coming to the UK? Why is nobody putting him on? So we thought, we're not really promoters. We've done a few local gigs, but we thought, fuck it, man. Like we need to make this man have a gig in the UK. We need to make it happen somehow. And we've been in touch a little bit online a bit. We'd sent him some music before. We connected on Twitter. The last time he played in the UK, unfortunately, we were at our brother's wedding, and we couldn't get down to it. But we would have done had that not been on. But so we just thought, let's see if we can make this gig happen, man, and get them over here. And
it ended up being a UK exclusive show.
And we worked with the Tees Music Alliance, who were massive important in helping that gig happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So we kind of connected with Chesky, basically, put him on, met in person, and I think he had a good time.
It was an amazing show. It was unbelievable.
So yeah, it was unbelievable. The gig. I mean, we had a few issues for Ceiling Demons on that night. So, but Chesky's performance was incredible, and it blew us all away. And there was it wasn't sold out, but there was enough people there, and it really left an impression with all of those people.
People came from all over.
Yeah,
people came from Wales, London, Manchester.
Yeah.
Leeds, not too far, but like
so
all over the place, man.
So we made that happen, and we connected with Chesky, and then we were working on trying to do the tour, that is the album tour that's happening in October now. We've been working on that since 2020, and have had to reschedule a few times. But so when we've been doing that, we just shared our record once we had it done and we had it mastered and everything was done musically. we just shared it with Chesky, and he was really taken back by the growth of us as artists from nil to this album. So we just connected that way, and managed to get them on board to put it out in the US. But so that's how we've got our connections with Fake Four. So we're fans predominantly, but we're honoured to be in a situation to work with them and put it out in the US. But I must say as well that it probably wouldn't have happened had Steve and Gil and Butterfly Effect not put so much support into us.
Massive support.
So Butterfly Effect, we put out Nil on Win Big originally, and then Butterfly Effect put it out, and it was the third record they ever put out, and the label was quite young.
Mm-hmm.
Between putting out Nil and now, like Steven's put out a lot of records, Butterfly Effect put out a good selection. So with the growth, it all ties together, doesn't it? It all ties together in a way. We're all growing together. So yeah, massive love to Butterfly Effect, massive love to Fake Four, and we hope people take something from this album.
And just a note as well on Butterfly Effect. Just it's amazing to see like a little label really bloom, and it's out of a label of love for music and new music and local music, and Butterfly Effect have been channeling so many great artists, independent artists, for the last few years, and for us to cross paths and connect with them, it's really helped us grow as artists to get to that level that we put out Nil, and then to put it out on the cassette and the CD and do the live shows was like part of our journey, and then to get it on the final as well. It helped the next sort of step in the progression, and we were just so like humble and blown away when you touch the record that you made on the final, the full artwork on the 12-inch, and then the soul splattered the sign on the disc. Man, it's just like it really sort of just blew my mind, and yeah, you can manifest things in this world if you put a lot of love and commitment, energy into it. Things can happen. Paths cross, stars align. This is the way the universe can work.
Well, 100%, because I think as we started off this conversation with, I know I use it a lot by saying the creator is rising. I think one of the things that has been truly evident to me, which relates to what you just said then, has been, and I think definitely worth giving a shout out, because it's been through the tough times, like we're saying that the darkest hour is before it's before dawn. It's true. We've gone through some very dark times as a world in the last. I think since we last had the conversation in public, there's been some very dark times personally in the world generally. Yeah. But when you go through those times, the rough times, which is a theme again that you talked song about for many years, you find those who support you, and through that will bubble and rise a new thing. And I think personally, being a bit of an outsider, looking at it from just a few hundred miles away, looking at there's an immense scene going on in this part of the world. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure other parts of the country got their own scenes, but I think the support that NARC, some of the venues have had, doing lockdown gigs. I mean, for instance, we did 2 lockdown gigs last year with no audience. Now that's a big step out for a venue to do, and I think they deserve a lot of shout out from us who are creative. But equally, I do truly, in my heart, see it coming that they will be rewarded for helping out those people who are struggling, because they've been immense. That's a long-winded way of me saying I think some of the people around here have been absolutely immense, and I've mentioned NARC, and I've mentioned Jordan Theatre and North East Volume Bar, and there's other things, but I mean I'm sure there's plenty you could mention, but I think like you said, they really need a good shout out and support because they've gone over and beyond what they needed to do in the last,
Yeah.
particularly last 18, 19 months, I think.
Absolutely. Like Trax Darlington is
Yeah,
perfect
Them guys
example.
have got amazing work.
Very supportive.
Super lovely people, Mark, super lovely people, any volume, butterfly effect.
Yeah.
All,
Come play with me
come
as
play
well.
with me and leave like amazing work for art, like amazing support and platforms and opportunities, and just growing and creating just creative communities, which is important for us all going forward. I mean, you know, you are art demon, mate. You know, art has got value, and to have you know, these organisations which are in it for the love. It is all for the love of music or art, man, and that's something which is massively needed in the world. And we're so very blessed and lucky to be in an area where we connect to these communities, man, and you know, we're a part of it. Even if we feel like outsiders sometimes, you know, we're all connected. It's like the tree and the mycelium mushroom connected to the roots below. It's all integrating to the next tree, and nutrients are getting passed on, and that's what these creative hubs are.
It is, and it almost goes back to, right back to the very from Reverse LP, legacies left. And these are the legacies right now that are being left. And I do think we're, I think we're going to strive for this because the support that's been shown, the love that's been shown, and like you say, it's been done in the spirit of love.
Yes.
Rather than being a spirit of like how much money can we make, how much we're not, and it's
Greed or fear.
exactly, always as we often say, love over fear, and it's been an immense sort of thing. So I mean, as previously I was just alluding to, really, it's one thing playing in the theatre, which is a bit strange in front of no audience. So on the reverse of that, and you kind of briefly touched upon, I think we kind of almost going into depth, but you've got the UK tour coming up. Now, have you felt, because it's different from my perspective, because I don't really sort of have that much integration with in the audience, but have you felt that people are, it's almost become a bit of a cliche that people are, since the lockdown, everyone's out going out, oh, it's, everyone's got wanting it and striving for it. I mean, have you felt that an energy change in the time you sort of thing? And how do you think that's going to lead forward? Are you looking forward to sort of taking this out and playing in places like Brighton and London and taking it out of almost like your comfort zone again, really? Because it can be quite comfortable to say, oh, we're just going to play around here, but you're stretching yourself.
Yeah, that's what it is, and obviously we haven't been doing it as much as previous times. Recently, but the few shows that we've done so far, it's still got that. It's that same energy and that passion that you are putting into your art form. And when I feel like people relate to it, or they get connect. Yeah, connect. They feel connected by it, or they feel a right word, man. But people feed off the energies in the performance when they find it real, or they find something in it that they can relate to, something entertaining, something intriguing or emotive, 100%. And that's what, as artists, we've always tried to sort of evoke an emotion, to get people to think and feel is something that we've always done, and that's something that we always try and tap into in the show. So I feel that people are with all the lockdowns and things, people have been denied the freedom to go and see shows which give them that, which is everything's yin and yang, and I think it's good. It's been a good thing because people have a chance to step back and then you appreciate things. Sometimes you don't appreciate things until you don't have it. So
Yeah.
It's given people more an appreciation for art and live performance. I hope that'll translate well into the tour. Like you say, we've played a few places we've not played before, but I'm really hoping that people they need it. They need some energy in that. I hope they enjoy the shows, man. But they need to come and see Chesky, man. That's what they need to do. Because I don't think he's done a UK tour before. It'll be his first time playing Scotland, so Glasgow, get ready, man. And I just can't wait to see how the crowd reacts to his energy, man. Because the gig we had on with him blew our minds.
Phenomenal. I mean, yeah. So harking back to the question, I feel like it's a spiritual exercise, performing. We'd often used to say, like, every performance, go out there and perform like it could be your last show, because it could. This world is fragile. So do it with as much heart as you can muster, and as much soul. Going back to what Dan was saying about Chesky, yeah, his show is incredible. His energy is incredible, and yeah, we're looking forward to sharing the stage with such an incredible artist.
Yeah, but
in October.
Equally as well, I mean, the pre-Chesky one, I mean, for people anywhere, if they can get anywhere near to the launch gig, I just, personally, I mean, right now, I think the vibe of that thing is just going to be an electric thing, because I think there's a lot of 2 years of energy building up that's nearly pouring out in that particular.
Yeah.
So before we wrap this up, because we can go too long. Again, I think it's almost like obligatory. Where can people get hold of the Snakes and Ladders?
So if you're watching this and it is October, you can come and see us on tour and grab a copy either on cassette, CD or vinyl from us in person. You can also go to our Bandcamp page and get them. All the physical formats have unique artwork, and they are limited. All of them are limited. So you can do that, or you can go to, if you're in the US, we highly recommend you go to Fake Four's Bandcamp page, and you can pick up a copy of the black vinyl from them.
It's all limited. It's all very, very limited copies, and I think we've already got a decent turnaround for something so far. So we're hoping they don't sit about too long. To be honest, I mean, we've put Fly Effect. We put out some deluxe versions which are pretty much almost gone. I think there might be a couple left, but
might be gone by the time
it's probably gone. But like, yeah, but
the Parry
every format is extremely limited, and or if you want to get multiple formats, the cassettes and the CDs have a different cover to the vinyl. So I don't know, like, but get yourself on Bandcamp to buy a copy directly from us. There's a couple of record stores in the sort of local region in the UK to us, which are Wah Records in Wakefield and Sound It Out Records in Stockton on Tees.
Blues Night.
Stocking it. There's also in our little hometown Richmond, our main man Tim Barnes at Blues Night will be stocking copies, and possibly in Downton, maybe HMV might take some.
You find it online and streaming, of course, on all those streaming platforms that you all love so much.
I would definitely try to recommend it again. By the time this goes out, those may all be sold out, but any physical copy of it going to, because you're getting them. The package is immense, and I think we can all say that.
There's a board game.
Yeah, it's a board game. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I think I've ever bought an album with a board game before. So like you're saying, there's been a lot of. I think this is a great way to sort of back this up. There's been a lot of work being put into this, and I think this goes back to what I said earlier. I think you should be rightly proud of what you've done, because you've left a great legacy. It's, and every step along the way with all the help, but when you look at the physical thing, like I've said before, we tend to just move on and we step back. I did it the other day and wow, it's something we can,
Yeah.
rightly not pride, because pride's not the right word, but it's something we can look back and humbly go, wow, we've left a good legacy.
Yeah, man.
And so I reckon, if people can get it, a physical copy, do that, because as much as we may champion decentralisation of the internet, this can all just crumble away, and it's, we can be left with at least a physical copy will always work.
Yeah.
All you need is a needle and an ampli,
Absolutely, something to hold in your hands.
yeah, well, like I say, lads, it's been absolutely great. I mean, just to sort of let people know, we're recording. This is in the Green Man studio, and this is a rarity that people get to see behind the
Shout
sort
out,
of
Green Man Swaler, shout out to Green Man.
But yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure coming on. Hope to see you back again at some point. Before I wrap it up, I'll leave the last final word to you. If there's anything you would give a shout out to, or anything like that.
Thank you so much. Martin and Team Life as People is back, and I'm so happy for that, man. And I just want to shout out to everyone supporting the record and our music, and just everyone supporting our local arts to you in your area, or independent artists in general, overseas or wherever that may be. Just pour your love and passion into things. Just try and
Keep slaying possible.
try
Keep slaying possible.
and create positivity by slaying. So,
Love over fear.
Not over fear, and for old time's sake, life is people.
Well, they say that life is people, and that people are angels, and that angels are devils, and the devils are me and you.